fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, welcoming you to take a walk down the streets of 2015 with me. The Force Awakens was coming. Everyone was so excited. Star Wars was about to be back. About a year before the movie came out, we got a teaser trailer, and then beyond that, it was occasional photos in a magazine that you would see the article of on Facebook while you're scrolling. And then, come summer, San Diego Comic-Con, the peak nerd time of the year to begin with, Hasbro drops this. This was a preview figure that was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and it was the First Order Stormtrooper. We had seen pictures of them, and figures were not due out for a few more months. But for those that attended the event, you were able to grab the first sequel figure a little bit early with some premium packaging and a special accessory. What a time to be alive. How exciting it must have been to have this. I desperately wanted it and could never track one down. I picked this one up at ICCC a couple years ago, and I've recently picked up a newer, or not a newer, but a better condition one. This box is a little rough, so we're going to open this one and just revel in the experience. Let's get into it. And here's the packaging. We're going to take a thorough look at it. Now remember, the packaging at the time was the blue stripe packaging. About the time of San Diego Comic-Con this year, we were getting one of the final blue line waves. We had just gotten the Emperor, Luke and Stormtrooper armor, the Clone Trooper Captain, Commander Cody and Boushh Leia, and IG-88. Those were starting to show up, and then people at Comic-Con were able to pick up this just insanely classy looking packaging. So with the Black Series, historically it had dark packaging. This is very eye-catching in the all-white with the black Star Wars, the Black Series logo on it. You have a black and white image of the Stormtrooper. Interestingly, this is the Stormtrooper wearing the harness with the rifle with the stock. That is not what came in the box, but still very, very cool. It is the standard size of a Black Series box. You have your ages 4 and up, warning, choking hazard, and Hasbro. The image wraps around the side. First Order Stormtrooper, and then the First Order Cog. The back of the box features this like Death Star wall panel style lighting that you see throughout Star Wars. You get the name of the figure, and that there's a figure, 2 accessories, a booklet included, a bunch of legal stuff about Disney and Hasbro. This side of the box features a bio. Not about the Stormtrooper himself, but about troopers in the galaxy overall, talking about how the Clone Wars had white armored shock troopers, and then talking about the Imperial Stormtroopers, and then talking about the next era of troopers in general. Very, very cool stuff. Let me see if I can get it. That's all in frame. Pause and read if it interests you. And then underneath has your barcode and some legal stuff, and all black up top. You can slip this cover off, and inside is a First Order Stormtrooper. You have your First Order Cog, the 2 weapons. They are all rubber banded in. However, the rubber bands, a couple of them have broken on this one. The outer sleeve of this box is creased. I'm going to open this one for the sake of the video, but you have that same art over there. Over here is just all black with a Black Series logo. And then in the back is a booklet. We will take a closer look at the booklet in the review. Let me go ahead and get this guy out of the tray, and we will take a very in-depth look at everything going on here. So here's the First Order Stormtrooper out of the box. Now, before we jump into the figure, we'll take a super quick look at that little notebook that it came with. So super duper cool stuff going on here. Got a bunch of pages of info. So all it is really is the evolution of the Stormtrooper. So one of your first pages in here is about the Phase 1 Clone Trooper, and you get a little bio there about the Phase 1 Clone Trooper armor, and then you get a picture of the Phase 1 clone with all of the gear and some things pointed out about it on a wax paper. You can flip that up, and then you just get a really cool picture of the clone. Same with Phase 2 Clone Trooper. So a bio about the Phase 2 Clone Trooper, and then a wax paper with info about the armor over a picture of the armor. You have the Imperial Stormtrooper. See, it talks about the type of weapons they may have been outfitted with. And the First Order Stormtrooper with the super brief bio of they enforce the will of the First Order. And then because the movie wasn't out yet, everything here is classified. So you're not allowed to know that stuff yet. And then in the back, you have field notes. You can write whatever you want to in there. Something for the kiddos, as if this wasn't for the most intense of the geeks going to San Diego Comic-Con. But still a cool little piece of Black Series history, all the same. Now, looking at the First Order Stormtrooper, everything that comes with the figure came with the standard release. So the booklet and the packaging is really the only special thing here. They really needed to talk it up, make it special, because it was the Comic-Con thing. And it was like, it was, 6 months until the movie comes out. Like, let's give you a little breadcrumb to be excited about, So, here he comes with the First Order pistol. I don't think we ever really saw the Stormtroopers using these. This was more of like a pilot and an officer kind of thing. But it is white and black and looks really nice. It features the peg on the side, and it can be stowed away on his hip. He has a receptacle, I guess on his thigh, really, not his hip. And then standing him up, that's something we're going to talk about with the figure. He comes with the First Order Stormtrooper blaster, also in white and black. The scope on mine got just a little smushed after 10 years of being crammed in that package. No, like 11 years, really. Wow, time flies. Really, really nice looking sculpt. It's still passable as far as sculpts go in today's figure collecting market, I would say. Looks pretty good. Also features a peg on the side. You can have one or the other pegged onto his right thigh. Again, I never saw them in any of the movies using the pistol, and the Stormtroopers themselves, so I put all them into storage on mine on the shelf, and, if they were going to stow anything, it'd be that pistol, or I guess blaster, not just a pistol. So now, taking a look at the figure, this was our first offering of the First Order Stormtrooper. This is what came in the red and black box as figure number 4. This was the offering that we had all throughout The Force Awakens. And as I understand, they tweaked it a little bit for Rise of Skywalker to improve some elbow articulation, because that was the big talking point about this figure. We'll go through it, and this figure is beautiful. I mean, it looks good. It's a very, very nice, visually, aesthetically pleasing sculpt. But the big thing that really killed it is that being maximum elbow bend. That was sad. That was that was Hasbro saying, you think the original Clone Trooper mold is bad? We'll show you bad. And they gave us that. But let's just give this a look through. I remember, because again, I didn't pick this up. They were instantly $200 on eBay. And I was a high school kid. I wasn't doing that. But I was looking at photos. I was watching, I think Shartimus Prime had a review on it. I watched that a few times, I'm sure. It might have been where I started following Robo at that point. I know 2016 or so was when he kind of started popping up a lot. But First Order Stormtrooper helmet is beautifully captured here with the mouth that connects through the black cheek rebreathers up to the eyes. I love everything about it. It's got the little silver port for attachments there, painted very nicely. Some of these in the red box Wave 1, they were clean, but the repacks in Wave 3 and was it 5, I think, they started to get a little sloppy with the paint around the mouth, and really, they just couldn't keep up with demand, so production ramped up and was speeding up, and so they were just doing their best. But this one is very, very crisp. I do like that. And it's just a good representation of what was shown in the teaser trailer, and it was just an exciting figure to have at the time. Working down, this is before the age of figures having rubber overlays, so everywhere that you see as the black undersuit is just painted and part of one sculpt. However, they did a nice job of making sure that everything had that kind of ribbed undersuit going on, even the neck under the helmet. You got the shoulders with the ribbed undersuit, the exposed elbow sections with the ribbed undersuit, and then for whatever reason the thighs didn't get it. Maybe the undersuit's smooth there, but the knees have that going on there. And it was just a very, very nicely maintained sculpt throughout. And yeah, Otherwise, it's what you would expect nowadays from the First Order Stormtrooper armor. But this was the way to get your first in-depth look back in the day. You know, the trailers, you kind of saw like this much of them, in like one shot in that first teaser. So this was like them being like, hey, here, this thing that you haven't seen yet, play with it until the movie comes out. And just what a cool thing to have. But very, very nice looking. I always loved the communicators on like the kind of like flat portion of the forearm armor. It's just a very different design from what we'd seen before. The belt has all these pouches going on. It's got the big cylinder in the back. It looks like an evolution of the Imperial Stormtrooper. It's a little more modern. It's a little more smooth. But like the record and the pause buttons, made the transition. Very smooth armor. There's that peg in the thigh for the blasters. It is, of course, an older figure, so double pin knees, and it has the thigh swivel, but it's all right. Just a very, very cool figure to have at the time. And, visually, it being visually interesting was like the appeal of it. But let's run through some articulation. That's where it's going to show all of its flaws. But again, remember, this thing came out in 2015, so, 11 years ago as far as action figure evolution goes. So it has the hinge with a ball on it for the helmet, so you can do figure rotation, you can bring the chin down in the chest that far, you can make him look that far up, and there is a little bit of pivot in there for some attitude. He can do not a T-pose, the shoulder pads go into the torso about that far. That's probably alright. 360 at the shoulder, no butterfly joint, it was before that was ever in the line, no bicep swivel, he had single jointed elbows. Pathetic. It can do like a 120 degree angle, it can do an obtuse angle. Pathetic. This was bad, even for the time that it came out. On all of my First Order Stormtroopers, I ended up taking a razor knife and trimming some of the lower bicep portion there, just to give more clearance for the arm to keep on going, and that gave it the range to get 290. I believe that is what they ultimately did on the sculpt for the Rise of Skywalker release, but pathetic. Pathetic Hasbro. 360 degree on the wrist, left hinging in and out, right hinging up and down, and featuring the trigger finger. He has a mid-torso ball joint, allows him to crunch that far forward, that far back. He can rotate, he can pivot, he can, I think I showed the front and back, but he can crunch. He can do that far of splits. He can kick pretty far forward, a little bit back. There's an upper thigh rotation in there with the double jointed knees. Can almost kick his own backside, and then straightening that back out. His feet, if you force it, can go straight down, can go pretty decently far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker. The bottom of the foot is not flat. It's like a kind of like curve, and so what I've generally had issues with while standing him up is like there's like a sweet spot, and if you're not in that sweet spot, he's not standing. Of course it does it naturally as soon as I want to talk about it there. You see that pitiful excuse for a shooting pose he's in? That's about the best you can do with the arms on this guy at this time. Yeah, it's pretty rough, right? But despite that, and even knowing back in 2015 that that's how it was after people started talking about it, after they got theirs at Comic-Con, I still wanted this guy oh so bad. I was always looking for a deal, hoping I'd find one on eBay, someone selling it less than anyone else, and it just wasn't happening. And I'm so glad to finally get to experience one now, and also have another one that's just in like pristine condition for the collection. But yeah, what do I think? So this is not a good figure in 2026. It was an okay figure in 2015. Not great, but it was like, okay, like fine. But it was more about the culture, the experience of being there, the excitement, This is one that I desperately want Hasbro to come back and refresh. I know the sequel figure stuff, didn't sell super well. I think when you have a collecting fan base that mostly likes everything but these movies, and then you make it the entire focus of the Black Series for 5 years, it definitely isn't going to make the line, perform at its highest performance. However, I think there's enough sequel fans out there to support like a fan channel First Order Stormtrooper head to toe re-sculpt, and if it does well, maybe reissue it again, you know, with like the vest going on. Like, there's stuff that can be done here. But anyway, I hope I was able just to share a little peek into the experience of being excited for this guy, and just appreciating it for what it is more so than, you know, like what it represents, like, or what it represents more than what it is, because you know, it just, to me, represents a really fun time to be a collector. And, you know, we haven't had that recently, although the Mando and Grogu stuff is exciting me. I've been thinking about this a lot now that we're starting to lead up to the Mando and Grogu, like, fit merch coming up. And it's just a different air. People aren't as excited for Mando and Grogu as much as they were for The Force Awakens, which is bizarre, because now you look back and everyone's like, all these movies were bad. Like, no. Like, we wanted them at first. Everyone wanted them at first. And then just some of us, you know, some of y'all let go of that over the years. I haven't, but it's it was such a fun time. And you had to have been there. And I'm glad I was. So, Hasbro, make a new one! And if you're looking to add some First Order troops to your army, petition Hasbro to make new ones. You know, I mean, if you find these guys really, really cheap, the common releases, maybe. But, like, don't break the bank army building this. I think Hasbro should redo it. That's what we need to be petitioning here in 2026. Thanks for hanging out. May the Force be with you. I look forward to catching you in the comments next time. Peace.